Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome, everyone, to a special edition of Marking Out in the Morning. We're going to take a real quick look at previews for this Sunday's WWE Tables, Ladders, and Chairs pay-per-view, as well as the next Wednesday's NXT TakeOver London. We'll take a look at the updated cards for each event, and I will give you my predictions for each match. So let's just jump right in, beginning with Sunday's TLC Tables, Ladders, and Chairs, available exclusively on pay-per-view and the WWE Network. We'll begin with confirmed matches from the bottom of the card. The first one we'll take a look at is Ryback versus Rusev. Rusev just making his return. I don't see any future really with Ryback anytime soon. So you got to believe with the momentum of his unexpected return, or I guess his expected, but whatever. He's fresh off a return. His deal with Lana is pretty hot. You got to believe Rusev gets the win over Ryback. In an 8-man tag team elimination tables match, we have the ECW Originals, Tommy Dreamer, Rhino, and the Dudley Boys, facing off against the Wyatt family, Bray, Luke, Eric, and Braun. And again, got to believe that the win goes to the Wyatts. There's no reason to think that the ECW Originals are getting built up for anything. There's no push that they need. The Wyatts are obviously going to be around much longer than the Dudleys, Rhino, and Dreamer. While I do expect at least 6 tables to be smashed, most likely 7, got to believe it's going to go to the Wyatts, and that gives them some time to kill because we have the Royal Rumble coming up next month, which means you don't have to have a real rivalry, so they can kind of sit on things until the Rumble is over and then figure out where the Wyatts are headed for WrestleMania. Let's see. Next up on the deck, we'll have the Chairs match for the United States Championship, featuring Alberto Del Rio versus Jack Swagger. Again, Del Rio just recently returned. He's getting a pretty decent push as part of the League of Nations. Jack Swagger, on the other hand, until Zeb Coulter returned with ADR, was really nothing more than talent used for superstars at main event and the occasional job on Raw or SmackDown. So no reason at all to believe that the U.S. title goes to Jack Swagger. In what is essentially just a no disqualification match with tons of extra chairs around the ring. Look for ADR to get the win. Look for the League of Nations to somehow be involved. And don't be surprised if Zeb Coulter ends up siding with Jack Swagger at the end of the day. For the WWE Divas Championship, the daughter of Ric Flair, Charlotte, defends the title against 2-time Divas champion Paige. Now, you may not realize this. Paige has been in WWE less than 2 years on the main roster. She debuted the day after WrestleMania 30 and has already won the Divas Championship twice, which is more than you can say about almost any other diva currently in the division, especially of the Divas' relevant title talks today. So, again, Paige doesn't need the Divas title. I don't think it would be much of a push for her to take the title at this point. I look for Charlotte to win with a controversial ending, leading to perhaps a triple threat match at the Royal Rumble that includes Paige and Becky Lynch. Maybe just Becky Lynch versus Charlotte by then. Maybe Sasha Banks is thrown in the mix somehow. But in this non-stipulated title match, I got to give the win to Charlotte. So, woo! Anyway, that's my terrible woo. In what should be a really fun tag team title match, and what is, again, essentially a TLC match, because there will definitely be ladders and chairs at ringside as part of the decorum for the night's event. But the New Day defends their tag titles in a triple threat ladder match against the Usos and the Lucha Dragons. The New Day right now are almost universally cited as the most entertaining group in WWE today. Again, no reason to believe they need to give up the titles. I know WWE was really big on the Usos, and WWE does really want to push those athletes most appealing to the Latino demographic, but I still think the New Day holds the titles for a while as they are kind of holding down the fort as the ratings crumble for Raw and fans continue to get bored. The New Day continues to entertain. Don't see any reason they give up the title this week either. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and say it now. I don't see any titles actually changing at TLC, which might mean my predictions are wrong, but I feel like every champion will probably retain. The Intercontinental title match, again, Dean Ambrose, I don't think would be elevated much by defeating Kevin Owens. There are no special stipulations to this match, which, whatever. I feel like Dean Ambrose and Kevin Owens could have put on a really sick ladder match, a really sick TLC match, whatever. Tables match even would have been fun. Can you imagine Kevin Owens somehow working in his pop-up powerbomb? It would be really complicated to work that through a table, but it could be fun to see how they do things. Anyway, I assume Kevin Owens wins this match, and as me and my roommate discussed last night, I kind of hope he retains the title until WrestleMania, at which point Sami Zayn gets his first shot at the IC title. Dean Ambrose, I think, is a very realistic choice for winner of the Royal Rumble to build a potential Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose feud for WrestleMania. While this isn't technically official yet, probably on the pre-show, we're going to get to see Dolph Ziggler versus Tyler Breeze and or Stardust versus Titus O'Neil. And in those victories, I see in those matches, I see Titus O'Neil getting the victory, and I see Tyler Breeze getting a victory as well. And of course, the main event, the TLC match, Roman Reigns challenges Sheamus for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. I don't think they're going to give it up to Reigns just yet. I think he will be. I think it's definitely possible he could be champion going into WrestleMania. He could win it from Sheamus next month at the Royal Rumble. Either way, I see the Celtic Warrior being champion at the end of the day, Sunday night. So that's your picks, your preview from the Audacity for Sunday's card at TLC. And with that out of the way, let's take a look real quick at what we have coming up Wednesday on NXT's latest takeover as they travel to London. Not a full card announced, I wouldn't think. I assume a few more will come out as the weeks go by. Although I guess sometimes those specials are a little bit shorter, so maybe not. Anyway, perhaps the most talked about match is going to be Bayley defending the NXT Women's Championship against The Rock's cousin Nia Jax. Gotta believe Eva Marie will be involved in the mix somehow there. And I'm going to go out on a limb here a little bit and call for an Andre the Giant Ted DiBiase ploy where Nia Jax takes the title from Bayley and simply hands it to Eva Marie. Otherwise, I don't understand why Nia Jax and Eva Marie are being friends. So I predict the end of Bayley's title run, and as soon as she finishes this program, I assume she'll get called up to the ever-burgeoning WWE Divas division on the main roster. NXT tag titles as Dash and Dawson defend against Enzo and Big Cass. Enzo and Big Cass have probably the most marketable gimmick in NXT right now. I think they could be over on the main roster at the same level as the New Age Outlaws 20 years ago. They have an amazing charisma as a team. They have great chemistry. Their mic work, their intros are phenomenal. They have Carmella if they need her to boot. Hey man, I really just don't see Dash and Dawson getting over on the main roster. They're a lot like, they remind me of the Andersons, who were never really very over in the WWE world. Whether or not Enzo or Big Cass win this match, I don't think they need the titles. I see them losing in an unfair way and very soon getting called up to the main roster. Asuka versus Emma in another Divas match. Again, Dana Brooke will most likely be involved somehow, but I gotta believe Asuka comes out with the victory so she can move on to challenge for the women's title very soon. Two more matches that we know of for sure. Apollo Crews faces Baron Corbin. If you've been watching Breaking Ground very much, you know both of these guys are doing very well. Apollo Crews just got a pretty nice raise recently. Can't remember if Baron Corbin was a part of that group that were given raises on that episode of Breaking Ground. And WWE thinks very highly of both of these guys. Apollo Crews has been getting a pretty quick push. Baron Corbin has been proving himself for a while now. I know Triple H specifically is big on Baron Corbin, and Apollo Crews is just a ridiculous athlete. This one's pretty hard to call, honestly, but I'm going to give it to Baron Corbin. This is a lot harder to call, I think, than the TLC card, but I'm going to give this one to Baron Corbin just because I feel like he's closer to getting called up to the main roster, and they're going to want to build him up a little bit in NXT before they make that jump. I don't see Baron Corbin ever holding the NXT title. I see him as skipping over it, whereas Apollo Crews seems the type to go win the belt before debuting on Raw and SmackDown. And the main event for Wednesday's NXT TakeOver London is Finn Balor defending against Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe is a very interesting case for WWE. Easily the most established non-WWE talent to be signed since the breakdown of ECW and WCW has been exclusively on NXT cards, as well as a few dark matches that usually involve other NXT talent. But again, Samoa Joe is not someone who needs an NXT title to make a name for himself. He already has made a name for himself. Putting on a sick match with Finn Balor in England will go a long ways for him. And I think by Royal Rumble, he'll make his debut and he'll be an official part of the main event roster. Hopefully get a solid push for a nice match at this year's WrestleMania in Dallas. That way he can have his WrestleMania moment, and if things don't work out, he doesn't get over with the main event crowd or the main roster WWE Universe, then he can move on to his next venture. Those, my friends, are the picks for WWE TLC and NXT TakeOver London. I am your host, The Audacity. HEELZiggler.com, our website, I don't believe is even functioning at the moment. But you know what? Just keep it tuned here on Blog Talk Radio or whatever other service. Take that back. HEELZiggler.com is working. So this may or may not be posted there later. That's all we got for today, my friends. I'm going to play my favorite theme song of The Ring, and then we'll end this podcast at just over 15 minutes. Hey, maybe just under 15 minutes. Thanks for joining us. Again, I am your host, The Audacity. Follow me on Twitter at the letter O, The Audacity. Thanks, guys.
Bro, you just dissed me for the final time, bro. You just showed me disrespect. The only course of action left is to take this to the